Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai. We'll continue on now with chapter 26 from the Devi Bhagavatam, retold by Ramesh Menon. After a brief pause to recall the Purana more clearly, Vedavyasa took up his auspicious narration once more. When the Mother of the Universe saw the abject condition of the Devas, she also had tears in her fathomless eyes. Suddenly a great rage seized her. Delicate Parvati began to tremble in wrath before the supplicant Devas. Her body shook so violently that the mountain quaked beneath her feet, and it seemed that the sky would fall and time would end. Her roars echoed across the earth, and then the strangest thing began to happen to her as the Devas watched. At her shaking and roaring from the exquisite goddess' tender body sprang another female form. This was the fair Ambika, whose name would be legend across the three worlds throughout eternity. She was beautiful past imagining and fearsome too, and she sat astride the golden beast, a great lion. When this white Devi had sprung from her and stood apart, the goddess Parvati herself was then perfectly dark. She was black as the cosmic void where no lamp of any star burns. That black Devi, whom Parvati became when she had extruded Ambika, was called Kalika, and Kalaratri, the night of destruction, who is Durga, the goddess who is well nigh impossible to attain and who fulfills every desire. They stood there, the two Devis, one dark and one fair, both beautiful and dreadful, wearing the resplendent silks and ornaments and bearing fearsome weapons in their fine hands. The Devi Ambika said to the Devas, "Never fear, your enemies shall perish and you will rule again from Devaloka." Then she set black Kalika behind her on her lion, and they vanished. The Devis flew up into the Indra's Armavati Lamban city of heaven, where now the terrible Shumba ruled. They flew straight into the immortal garden, the Nandana, and stood under the white Parijata tree. There the Devi Ambika began to sing softly to Kalika in such a sweet voice that all the wonderful birds and beasts of that garden were enchanted. The birds and the living trees began to sing the goddess's songs, for they knew that this is where their own songs had come from. The deathless beasts of that garden crowded around the Devi and laid their heads in their hands. Why, that song pervaded all creation, and far away the Devas thrilled to hear it and quivered in hope. At that time it happened that the Asura Chanda and Munda were out strolling in the charmed garden. They too heard the Devi's song and were entranced by it. They came to discover which Apsara warbled so delightfully in the Nandana garden, and very likely to enjoy her beneath the flame-like trees. They saw the fair Ambika and the black Kalika, the one singing to the other, both incredibly beautiful and enfolded in such light that it blinded the demons, even to look at them. Chanda and Munda were seized with wonder and fear. The Asuras ran into the crystal Sudharma, where their sovereign, the matchless Sumba, sat surrounded by the most evil, most powerful demons in creation. They bowed low to him, and Chanda said, "Lord, a woman from the Himalayas has arrived in your garden. She is mounted on a golden lion, and she is so beautiful that even Kamadeva, the god of love, would fall in love with her." Munda took up the story now. "Not on any of the lokas will you find a woman as lovely as her. Why, fortune shines upon her as though fortune began with her. My lord, she is singing such a sweet song that the deer in your garden stand enraptured. They come and lay their heads in her hands. The birds have all fallen silent in the trees and listen avidly to her song." Chanda said, "Lord of the world, she is fit to be your queen. First discover whose daughter she is and why she has come here, then take her for your wife and spend your days in bliss. You are master of heaven and earth. You sit on Indra's throne in Amravati. The Parijata tree belongs to you, as do Fortas, Aravata, seven face, Uchasravas, Kamandanu, and all the treasures of the three worlds. Kubera's treasures worth a Padma is yours. Varuna's white parasol is unfurled over your throne. Your brother Nishimba wields Samudra's Pasa, while you have banished Yama himself when he came for your life, and now you have his danda in your hand. So, great demon, so you too must have this priceless jewel amongst your women, who has made her way to you to become yours. Only when you have her beside you as your queen will all the other treasures that are yours find their true luster and significance. There was another Asura, Sugriva, a trusted man of his kings in the Sabha. Sumba said to the demon, "Go, my friend, speak sweetly to that lovely one and fetch her to me. Flatter her profusely, for there is no woman on any world that can resist listening to her own praises." Sugriva came to the Devi on her lion and said, "My lord Shumba, the enemy of the Devas and the master of the universe, has heard of your beauty and your grace. He sent a message to you through me. My lord Shumba says, I have vanquished all the Devas and their host, and now I am lord of the Triloka. I have a share in every yagya on heaven and earth. My power pervades all creation. All the treasures in the universe belong to me. Why, there is nothing that is not mine. All the races are my subjects, and I am their king. Delicate, flawless, perfect one, the moment I heard of you, my heart was struck by love's lightning. I, Sumba, Lord of the universe, am now your slave, and will remain so until I die. I am immortal, bewitching one. No man, Deva, Gandharva, Asura, Kanara, Rakshasa, or any of the others can kill me. I beg you, be my queen, rule the worlds at my side." Thus said my lord Sumba to you, sweet lady. May I take your reply back to him? The Devi Ambika smiled inscrutably at Sugriva. She said, "I know all about your master Sumba and his brother Nishumba as well. I know that Sumba destroys the Devas in battle and casts them into the wilderness like beggars. I know he is a high-born and noble demon, a home of all the qualities and 32 auspicious signs. He is brave and generous, handsome as Kamadeva, and invincible in battle against any man. I know he is wealthier than any other king, and that indeed heaven and earth are his to rule. I have been on earth and saw how all the Devas, Gandharvas, Kanaras, Siddhas tremble at the very mention of his name. I have come back to seek a husband for myself, messenger. So go and say to your master that I said, O Sumba, I have heard you are most beautiful, powerful, learned, generous, fearless, intelligent, wealthy, a noble demon in the universe. And I am keen to be your queen, Asura. Yet there is one condition. I must make before I wed. The man I marry must first vanquish me in battle, for I am strong, O Lord of the worlds, and I could never respect a husband who is not stronger than I am. Tell your master I am impatient to be his queen, so let him come at once, defeat me at arms, and make me his wife. The demon Sugriva was dumbfounded at what he heard. He began to laugh softly and say, Most beautiful one, it seems you speak in jest at my expense. How could you even think of facing my lord Shumba in battle? He is the conqueror of Indra and the Devas. There is no one in the three worlds that can match him at arms. Think again of what you are saying. I beg of you, come with me now and be married to my lord, lest he grow annoyed at your fanciful message to him and send his assuras to seize you by force. I am only a humble messenger, Devi, but Sumba has terrible demons at his command that will drag you before him by your hair. Delicate one, come peacefully with me. The battle you are best suited to is the sweet one you and my lord will have between the soft sheets of his bed of down. Ah, perhaps that is the battle you mean. But she was adamant. No doubt, you speak the truth, good messenger. But I have already committed myself to be won only after a fight, and I cannot go back on what I've said. Put it down to my childish nature, if you like, but I will never marry a man just for his beauty or his wealth. He must fight me before he can have me for his wife, and the first battle must be with arms on a battlefield, and then we shall have the other campaign in a bed. Sugriva looked at her again and saw that she was truly determined. He was afraid, and only after much careful thought came back to Sumba on his throne that the worlds worshipped. Hesitantly, that Asura began, My lord, a minister should always speak both truly and sweetly to his king, but often this is hard to do. When the message that a messenger brings to his master is not sweet, for no fault of his own, but only of the one who sent the message, the messenger trembles to deliver it. He paused, and Sumba said, Go on, Sugriva, don't be afraid. Nothing else for it, Sugriva went on. My lord, before I could ask her where she came from or whose daughter she was, the lovely one said to me, I know your master Sumba is lord of the three worlds, and that there is no one like him in heaven or on earth. I have come here looking for a husband. Tell Sumba that when I was a girl and playing with my friends, I swore a childish oath that only the man who could defeat me in battle shall have me for his wife. Tell your master that he must first vanquish me on the field if he wants me for his queen. My lord, she is haughty and waits there on her golden beast with weapons in her hands, for you come to fight her. Sugriva fell silent, quivering with fear. Sumba turned to his brother Nishimba, who sat beside him in the sabha. He said, Intelligent one, say what I should do now. Nishimba replied promptly, It isn't right that you or I go to battle against her. Send Dhumra Lochana. He will bring her to us trussed up, and you can make her your queen. Sumba called for the savage Dhumra Lochana and said, Take a legion with you, go into the garden and fetch that arrogant woman to me, but be careful you don't injure her or even break her delicate skin. But if there are any others who fight for her, kill them. First kill that black Kali who is her companion. Go now and bring her to me safely, for I mean to marry her. The warrior took 60,000 demons with him and went into the Nanda garden. He decided to speak sweet words of persuasion to her first. The demon said, you are even more beautiful. And then Sugriva said, My lady, my master Sumba pines for you. Ever since he heard you had come here to the garden, he is now not himself, but yearns for you to be his queen. Devi, my nature is not perhaps as bright as he may be that sent me here with these warriors, but I know very well the battle you meant when you challenged him to fight you at first. You meant the delicious battle of the bed with the sweet sharpness. I assure you, you will find my master Sumba is a great warrior. I swear you will hardly be able to bear his love any more than the Devas did his shafts in battle. You will swoon for joy again and again, just as you yearn to, lovely one. Truly you are beautiful and noble enough to be my master's queen as no other woman in all the universe. So come and embrace your destiny and bring this dark Kali with you to serve you. At which Black Kali began to laugh in the most wild and fetching manner. her fierce head thrown back. She said, "Flatterer, have you any thought for what you are saying? Ah, fool, the Devi means to kill you. She means to raise your army and kill Sumba and Nishumba. And here you are trying to seduce her into your dim-witted master's bed with sweet talk. Don't you know who the Devi is? That you try to matchmake her with your puny king? Will the lioness marry the jackal, Asura, just because she feels aroused? Will the she-elephant marry a donkey? Go tell your master that we have come to fight. We mean to kill them before we leave this place." She spoke so rudely that Dhumra-Lokana's eyes turned crimson. He cried, "Hideous one, I will cut your ugly head from your body, strike this lion dead, and carry your lovely companion back to my lord Shumba." Kalika mocked him. "I thought you were a warrior when I saw you, Asura, but you must be Shumba's court jester, that all you deal in are words." With a roar, the demon loosed a tide of arrows at the black goddess. They were fell shafts, swift as light, but Kalika cut them down in a wink. The Devas arrived in their subtle vimanas above the enchanted battlefield and cried out the Devi's name, and Kali's and Jaya, which means victory. Kalika slew the sorceress mules that drew the demon's chariot. She smashed the chariot itself, and then her wild laughter rang out again across the garden. Another chariot arrived for Dhumra-Lokana, and climbing into it, he covered her in a cloud of all sorts of bizarre and deadly weapons, and others that were nameless, but flew at Kalika in light and fire. The Black Devi hardly seemed to make an effort, but cut down all the Asura's missiles with a stream of arrows that flared from her bow like thoughts from a mind. The Devi's conch resounded above the battle in deep thunder. Ambika didn't sit idle either, and all around the demons perished in waves, and soon the warrior's chariot waded through a small lake of Asura's blood at Kali's unearthly archery. Roaring louder than ever, the demon general seized up his strangest, most powerful weapons, the paraga. It was a weapon of 1,000 flames. It held in his hands as the Asura raised them to cast it at the dark Devi, crying, "Ugly Kali, meet your death." But at that moment, Kali bared her fangs and gave a roar. Heaven shook and the earth fell below. And at that sound, the demon was turned into a mound of ashes that the wind of Devaloka blew away in 4 directions. When the Asura's army saw their general killed so easily, panic took them, and they fled from the Devis, howling, "Save us, save us!" But by then, the sprawling garden in which that battle had been fought was a nasty sight as any battlefield in heaven or earth. Asura's corpse lay everywhere, limbless, headless. Their horses and elephants had fallen around them. Only now could the goddess themselves see how many thousands they had slaughtered in so short a time. The Devas showered fragrant petals of light down on the triumphant Devis, and already another army stalked that field, an army of scavengers. The legions of carrion eaters had arrived, as if out of thin air, to eat all of the dead. Now fair Ambika raised her sankha to her chariot lips and blew such a blast on the conch that Shumba heard her in his sabha, deep inside his great palace that had once belonged to Indra. The lord of the Asuras rose from his splendid throne, which was single ruby carved into a round seat, and crossed to his wide window. he saw the remains of his army and 60,000 fighting demons fly screaming back to him. There were scarcely 10,000 of them left alive, and not a warrior among them did not bear some mark of the Devis upon them. Some had no hands, others no legs. Some had an eye put out in their bestial faces. All of them were covered in shiny blood, and either their own or their comrades who had perished on the field. Shumba and Nishimba cried in one voice, "Why are you running from battle, cowards? Where is Drumra Lakana, and where is she whom he went to fetch?" When he found his voice, the soldiers' commander said, "Lord, the black Devi Kalika killed Drumra Lakana, and the fair Ambika, whose can't you hear shaking Swarga and Bhumi, slew 50,000 of our bravest men in a wink." Another soldier breathed, "You would hardly believe how our Lord Durma died, O king. Kali turned him into ashes with a roar." And another said, "Lord, this is the mother of the universe who sits upon her lion in your garden. She has no army with her, only her dark Kali, who is herself." O Suma, the Devas and Hadi and Hada, all the Kanaras and Gandharvas will join forces with her if she only asks them to. But she stands alone, and I fear she is equal to the rest of us. Why, I think she could put out all the suns in the sky. Sumba drew his brother Nishumba aside. He said, "What shall we do now? She has killed Damra, who no Deva could face in battle. You are younger than me, Nishumba, but in crisis you have the older head. Do we persist with this plan to enjoy her in bed? Do we flee Amravati? Or do we continue to fight? Decide, my brother. My heart is clouded with doubts and strange fear." Nishumba answered him at once, "Don't think of fleeing, my lord. Let me take some demons into battle against her, and I will bring her to you, fit to enjoy." But his brother said, "Why should you go into the battle yet? Let Chanda and Munda go and fetch her to us, so we can share her as we do the kingdom." The demon emperor turned to Chanda and Munda. "Take an army with you, my friends. Kill that black Kali and bring that fair Ambika to us for our pleasure. But if you can't take her alive, if she won't come at any price, then kill her as well, O heroes, for she has killed 50,000 of our people." And Chanda and Munda set out at once, not really fearing this battle against two women. Said Vedavyasa to the king, Janamajaya, on the banks of the sacred river. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Vishveshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.